Hey everybody, Courtney Cat here. I'm here with Matt Beckenham with Greater Things International. We are just jumping on, joining you guys today to do a quick Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about dreams and visions. What do we feel the Spirit is saying to the bride right now in this hour? But we just wanted to say hello first, give everybody a chance to jump on. We're going to be knocking back and forth a few questions here and there. And we just really wanted to get a chance to connect with you guys and see how everyone's doing. It's been a minute since we've been on. So Matt and I were joking around about being a little bit rusty with our Facebook Live skills. So there's a little bit of a pause here and there. You know what's going on, but let us know you're here. Say hello. Wave in the comments. Let us know before we get started. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes while Matt and I get everything situated and get all this shared to all of our pages here. So, Matt, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, and I cannot remember how to share it to my, my pages. I'm looking at it going, I don't know.
Oh, no.
It's been too long.
Okay, I think I can try my best here.
I am doing well. In the midst of lockdown here in Sydney, we've been in lockdown for over 50 days. So what that means for people who don't understand it is we're not allowed to go more than 5 kilometres from our homes. We aren't allowed to have people visiting us unless you live alone. You can have one designated person coming to catch up. But it's COVID in Sydney seems to be rapidly spreading. And so we're, as a state, trying to do our best to limit that as well.
Wow. That's pretty intense. Yeah, it's been pretty intense here too. And I know everyone around where we are, around the OKC area, has been doing their best to stay healthy, stay clear, and just kind of be aware. So, but we're happy you're here. It means we still get to hang out with you via Facebook. Oh, yeah.
Well, there's no boundaries when you're there's nothing that can stop us from having these sorts of conversations, and I think they're just so helpful at times for people just to see if they can glean something from the very things that we've learnt along the way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm just really looking forward to unpacking some of those things for people today.
Yes, me too. Have we gotten a chance to share all of this that we need to before we jump in and get started? Do you know?
I have no idea, Courtney.
Okay. I think I figured it out. I think I'm gonna just post it on here to Greater Things. There we go. I've got it.
You got it?
All right. So we're square. Yep.
Okay.
We're good. Well, I'm really happy to be back here with you. I love this topic. You know how important this topic is to me, how it's kind of the daily thing I live and breathe most of the time.
Yeah.
Dreams and visions are a major way that the Father uses to speak to me, although he uses all kinds of different modalities to connect with those that he loves. But I feel like this is one area that has been exploding for many, many people, so much so that we have decided to start a course for Greater Things International that we're currently offering and running. So we're going to be talking about that throughout the session today. If you guys are interested in that, you can check it out on the webpage, greaterthingsinternational.com. You can even send in a registration form if you're interested. And if that's something that you feel like you'd like to be a part of, go ahead and apply. Send us your info. But yeah, we're going to be talking today about how Matt and I approach dreams and visions. How do we approach understanding them, unpacking them, teaching them? And then we're going to be talking a little bit about what do we feel like the Spirit is saying. So let's start, unless there's anything you want to say before I jump in here, Matt.
I think you need to introduce yourself, Courtney.
Oh, I'm me. I'm Courtney. Hello. Our family, I'm from Oklahoma, in case you haven't noticed. I do not have an Aussie accent yet. Been working on it, though. It's pretty terrible. Haven't been brave enough to debut it, at least not in public. But yeah, we're from Oklahoma. Got connected in with Matt through prophetic mentoring, and we've been able to work together since then. It's been a real joy. I'm married to an amazing man named Scott, who's holding it down right now at bedtime. Love you, babe. Thank you so much. I have 4 amazing kids. Live here in OKC. We just moved. So if I look exhausted, there's a reason. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Good.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I'm Matt.
Anything else?
If anyone
Yep.
hasn't connected in with us before, I've been doing this sort of ministry for quite some time. I run a local church in Sydney, Australia called Haberfield Baptist, and we're just piling in a new business called Greater Things International, and it's something that we're pretty excited for. And so for Trish and I have been married for quite some time, got 3 adult children, and it's such an interesting season for us all, I think,
Mhm.
at this point in time. And I guess one of the things that is great to kick off with is that when people are locked down and the world has been affected like it has, dreams seem to come alive.
Mhm.
And they can be affected by our mental state, our emotional place that we sort of operate from, the very things that are operating around us, the fears that we keep on hearing about, the things that happen inside of relationships and families. And so it seems like at this point in time, it's something that's really ramping up again. And I just love to be a vessel of helping people understand
Mhm.
dreams and visions.
Mhm.
Fully appreciate there's not at times in the church, people look for these places for their dreams to be interpreted, and sometimes they can't find it, and sometimes they find that even in their own church environments that they don't do this at all. And what I've
Mhm.
found in the past is that sometimes that even churches are thinking this is not of God. I just want
Yeah.
to help people embrace the concept that it's not only from God, it's one of the very clear ways in Scripture that God uses to talk to us and
Yes.
to communicate to us. And like it's that whole concept of Old Testament, New Testament, in the book of Joel and Acts chapter 2, in the last days, dreams and visions are going to be a reality for men and women, and we're going to
Mhm.
prophesy through them. And so I think it's a very valuable concept and
Mhm.
aspect for to get our heads around and to orientate ourselves that God speaks through our dreams. That's how I
Mhm.
want to start. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's great. It's fantastic. And I think that one of the things that I've noticed and that really opened up my understanding and my love and desire to have more dreams, have more visions in general, but to walk with the Father through them more was when I began to understand all that was happening within my dream space. Dreams are a gift. They're a touch point that we've been given with heaven. They are a relational connection. They're not just a message, which, yes, they are. There's messages involved, but they are 100% a relational language between you and the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So when I began to see them as such, when I began to understand, oh, this is now a language that, yeah, there's basic symbols and words that are pretty much, standard across the board, but then there's the very individual nature of the language of dreams that comes in between you and the Father. That that's really when that began to open up my love and desire for that, because it's so personal. And there's so many layers to dreams. Yeah, we always tell, one of the things that we talk about in our courses, and Matt and I, in any of our dream videos that we talk about, is the importance of self-reflection. And when we understand that a dream has been given to us for a reason, it's always important to self-reflect first. However, every dream has multiple layers to it. There's multiple applications. So one dream, in my opinion, is like a treasure. It's a gift that you can continue to come back to. You can continue to unwrap. I just think they're neat. It's brilliant. They're wonderfully weird. And Matt and I talk all the time about how they're unscripted language. They get to be strange, and it's okay.
Yep.
I like to joke around how no one ever comes to me with, I have had a completely normal dream. Can you help me understand it? Because that's just not normal. It's normal for dreams to be weird. Maybe I'm a little weird myself, and that's why I like them so much. I don't know. But yeah, I think that
Yep. I'd say I
the
agree with that.
relational part of that is really beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think it is too. And it's this the unique piece of dreams, which is what I really want to champion with people as well, because there is a language, but it's again any language that you have. It depends on the person who speaks it, so that you know
Mm-hmm.
what's flowing from that person using the same words. So one person can tell you they love you, and another person can tell you they love you, but if one of those people you are in an intimate relationship with, it means something more. Like there is a value to it. And so
Right.
it's unpacking this concept inside of our dreams to that unique point of view that I want
Hmm.
to help people get to it. So it's not just like learning, like if you want to learn Spanish and just trying to find some words to put together and hope you get it right.
Exactly.
Um, Usually people laugh at you the first bunch of times you try and use those words because you don't know the context, you don't know the nuance behind them. But once you start flowing in the language of it, all of a sudden you find it's a very natural thing to do. And so when people
Hmm.
start sharing their dreams, you've actually lost the weirdness from it
Yeah.
altogether.
Hmm.
And that's the point, right? I think we're all a little bit weird. I think, like,
If we say that we're not, I think you're lying. Or you just not come to grips with your weirdness yet. Just let it be. Let it be.
well, yeah, let it be. And this is the thing, like, well, one of the things I've discovered with dreams is when people share them, intimacy actually happens. Like relationships
Mm.
start growing. So as soon as someone says, "Can I share a dream with you?" It's like an invitation to listen to a voice that's flowing deep within that person. Now,
Mhm.
when people share their dreams, they're usually something that they can be quite protective of because they don't want you to think that they're weird. And so, if we can take that weirdness out of the conversation automatically, then all of a sudden, every word that they say, and like it could be that you've just heard some concept that you've gone, whoa, like what's going on with that dream. But it's listening to a person's heart and spirit and the language that flows. And that's why we call it unscripted, because dreams can be from your past experiences, present experiences, or even future.
Mhm.
And it can be all of those things combined together. And you go, why is my grandmother in a dream that's passed away that's actually working with my grandchildren that I haven't had yet? And it's like, ooh, was that last night's pizza? No, it wasn't.
No.
There's something inside of it. We want
Mhm.
to help you unpack for yourself so you have the tools to be able
Mhm.
to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've covered at least one of those tools that we've talked about, which is to self reflect. Do you want to cover any of the other keys? Just the general, we can toss them out there so people kind of know um, how it is that Matt and I typically teach people and approach dreams. So we talked about the importance of self reflection. What are a couple of the others that you use in general, Matt, to help you pull these apart?
Yeah, I think that first one of self reflection is one that I keep repeating with people because often we're dreaming at this point because our dreams can be quite big at the moment because of what's happening in the world. We can
Uh-huh.
dream about, say, the President of America or the Prime Minister of Australia and go, ooh, what does that mean for me? Or
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean for those people? And I help people go, let's just wind that back a little bit and let's start thinking about what this dream means for you
Mm-hmm.
because initially it's been given to
Mm-hmm.
you. It's like the way that I teach dream interpretation, or the way that we teach it, is very similar to the way that you read the Bible. So when you read the Bible, you're looking for a revelation for yourself. It's come from somebody else's story in this way. Like if you're reading David and Goliath, you're looking for something of revelation inside of that story. Now, how many times do you hear believers say, "I've read this story 100 times and I get 100 things out of it each, like different each time"? That's simply because you're in a different stage of life. You're looking at it through a different lens. You're reading it through, and you're seeing something in a story that speaks to you louder than something else that's done so. If you
Mm-hmm.
can get that from an ancient story of David and Goliath, how much more so can you get it from your own story as you are dreaming? So, dreams that you've had today may be wildly different from 12 months ago, but the dream from 12 months ago might be speaking into something
Yes.
today. And
Yeah.
so, one of the things that I know Courtney does a lot of is she journals her dreams. And again, if you're interested in dream interpretation, one of the things that brain science has taught us and is that the more that you value the dreams, the more that you remember your dreams. And that's a brain science thing. That's not a Bible concept. It's straight from brain science. The more that you value your dreams, the more that you'll remember of them. But if
Mm-hmm.
you journal them, you'll be holding on to a dream
Mm-hmm.
story that's been flowing in and through
Mm-hmm.
you. The next thing is theme. We always look for themes. It's the easiest way to understand the dream that you've had is what is the theme inside of a dream. It rhymes, so you can actually pick up the little rhyme there. It's cute, right?
Very.
Thank you. I needed that affirmation.
No problem.
So look for the theme. So every dream seems to have a theme. Even if you go, this dream has been so confusing, you've
Hmm.
just spoken out the theme. This dream is so scary, you've just spoken out the theme of it's
Hmm.
inside the dream. And so again, once you can lock into the theme of the dream, you can then start
Hmm.
unpacking the rest of the attributes that start coming into it. Now, some of those, like Courtney, you've said, are standard, and we see them in so many dreams, and some of them are going to be enormously unique.
Hmm.
And again, it's in that uniqueness that we start unpacking some of the deep parts of that dream and helping you and possibly show you what God's actually saying to you
Hmm.
through that. Once you
Yeah.
find the theme, we look for a way that how does this encourage me? And so in the encouragement, I'm listening for the voice of God for affirmation, and I'm also looking for the challenge. How is this theme
Hmm.
challenging me? So I'm looking to see how God grows me
Hmm.
inside of it. So that's some of the
Hmm.
concepts that I use straight off the bat.
Hmm. Yeah. And, you know, I know I hear you speak a lot about, and we talk a lot about identity, understanding our identity, understanding what it is that we carry, understanding the giftings that the Father has put in us for a specific reason. And when you become more aware of that, you'll start to also, that will be another, I shouldn't say filter, but that will be another layer that you will add to your dreams as well. I know Mandy Woodhouse is watching here, and I know Mandy is a powerful intercessor and has such a heart for evangelism. And so it will not be uncommon for Manny to dream about situations and people and places that are, you know, that maybe it's on the Father's heart, that they partner together and pray in intercession for things. And so that's another layer that we just wanted to kind of throw in there to say it's deeply important. It's not just important for your own self and your own understanding, but it's always an outflow when it comes to identity, and the giftings and the things of the Father, who He calls you, what is your name, what do you carry. All of those things will begin to layer, and they'll begin to show up within your dreams and within that relational context of dreaming and visions with Him as well. So
Yeah.
is that all we want to cover on that?
Well, I think context is the last thing we need to just speak about too, because context of any story is important. If you're reading the Bible, context is important for what you're reading into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Paul was speaking to first century, David was speaking to 900 years before Jesus comes along. And so context of moments is always important in helping you understand a person's story. So
Mm-hmm.
like Courtney and I could have exactly the same dream, but the context could mean that it means two utterly different things. And it's again listening to the context of what is happening around
Mm-hmm.
you that helps you also unpack the dream that you're actually
Mm-hmm.
in. If I can just touch on the concept of evangelism with dreams too, and I know this is a side issue and I'm sort of exiting stage left in this moment, but dream interpretation is one of the most evangelistic things that I have discovered to help people listen for the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, not everyone reads the Bible, but everybody dreams. And so when someone says to you, I've had a dream, and you're like, wow, I can actually hear God in that. You're actually
Mm-hmm.
they're allowing you into a conversation where God might even have a voice. And when God speaks, He creates. When God speaks, things get redeemed, things get healed. And so we're looking for listening for God's voice inside of that. And see, so often we're dreaming about existential things that are bigger than who we are. And again,
Yeah.
when you actually bring the concept of design and their identity into their
Mm-hmm.
dreams, before you know it, they've been loved on in a very powerful
Mm-hmm.
way. So again, I just encourage you guys,
Yeah.
plug
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. I definitely think dreams are one of those great neutralizers. You know, like I said, everybody's having them. And once people figure out that it's something you enjoy, it's like, watch out.
Yep.
Because they're going to come and they'll want to talk to you about it. But it's great. It's great. And like you said, it's a beautiful way to hear the voice of the Father for someone through that space, even if you don't know them very well. It's an awesome, awesome touch point. So, all of that being said, those are some of the general ways that Matt and I approach dream interpretation. It's some of the ways that we approach walking people through those things. So, again, if you're interested, check out the course we've got coming up. I know there's these types of Facebook Lives bring up a lot of questions for people. So, if that's you and you have more, give the course a look, and we'll cover a lot more. We'll be able to dig in and cover a lot more in that space. But the next thing I wanted to get to The subtitle on this graphic that we did for this Facebook Live is, what is the Spirit saying to the bride in this hour? And Matt, you mentioned it earlier. People's dreams, people's visions have taken off and have kind of hit next level lately. Every time I feel like we've hit this next level, there's just another one to come. There's just more and more that continues. So I would like to just ask you, what are some of the themes and current happenings that you have noticed within your own dream space, with dreams that people have been bringing to you? I know you and I kind of have a unique perspective in that a lot of people will ask us questions or share their dreams. So we get this really neat kind of bird's eye view of getting to see what multiple people are dreaming about at one time. So what are some themes? What are some current trends that you're noticing within these dreams and visions?
Yeah. And this is where context is hugely important with this conversation as well. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of in dreams is healing, restoration, connection. And so when people are disconnected in a world, like even with lockdown and people aren't able to do the things that they normally do, go to cafes, go to churches, do whatever, our dream space will often echo some of the concerns and anxieties we have with that. And so we're seeing a lot of people long for restoration, long for connection. And again, I think this is a really cool thing for the body of Christ to be existing in, because I think the body of Christ is designed for connection. It's not designed to be a building for people to come to. It's a body of people who are designed to be connected through Christ to the Father, in relationship, in a place of intimacy and growth and change and transformation. So again, when we're hearing God in so many, in my own personal dreams, but in the dreams that I'm listening to with people, there's so much based around the connection point and the healing and the restoration. And so often in our own community, we're watching people come with hearts of wanting, I was going to say desperately, but that's maybe the wrong phrase. They want to live out their design. They want to know who their people are. And this is a phrase that I've been picking up a lot from, and even doing some of the stuff that I've done with Lana Vorsa. It's this, where are my people? I want to find my people. And what church should I go to? Or what community should I connect with? And it's inside of our dream space that we're wanting to help people to go, you know what? There are people who are coming, and the dream is showing. So if you're dreaming about people you don't recognize, that's people who will be coming in the future. If you're dreaming about your past, we want to help you navigate those things too, because again, sometimes people from our past can be quite traumatic to engage with that level of healing. So we want to walk you through that. There might be things from the past that the Father's going, I'm going to take you step by step through a healing process with your family or with something, and we want to help you understand what that might look like. If it's friends that you know of, it's in the current moment that the Father's saying, hey, if you're dreaming of such and such, maybe this is the time to be able to connect with them, because they're probably thinking about you as well. So it's, again, this place of connection. It's such a strong word in the kingdom right now. Connection is what I'm seeing and hearing a lot of at the moment.
It's the same for me. Had some of the wildest, I shouldn't say wildest visions, but they've been pretty wild. And it's always interesting that I notice when things go quiet for a while, it's like I start getting, at first I'll get irritated because I'm like, why am I not seeing? Why am I not dreaming? But I've started to learn that when they go quiet like that for a while, just wait, because that means it's like him saying, hey, pay attention to the next thing that I'm about to tell you. It's really important. So I noticed that with myself for a while, and then I definitely want to echo that connection word. That's something that he's been on with me for a while now, is this linking of the bride that's going on. I don't know that we've fully understood. I don't know that I've fully understood how connected the bride actually is in the spirit. But I think that what we're seeing now is a fuller understanding that we are. And even in ministries like this and what we're doing right here, Matt, where you're in Australia and I'm all the way over here in Oklahoma, and we have people from Minnesota and New York, watching from all over the United States. When has there ever been a time on earth where we've been able to do this real time like this, where I'm speaking into someone else, they're speaking into me? There's such connection and cross-pollination that's going on right now. that this whole universal and the linking and the connection is a massive thing. And I also think, like, I've been hearing the Holy Spirit say, hey, you need to be expanding your understanding of what connection looks like, of how you can speak into an area or a geographic region that you're not currently in. And it's just very, it's humbling, but it's really exciting at the same time to understand how powerful the voice of the bride is and how important it is that we're connected. I just don't think we have any. Maybe I didn't have. Maybe other people do, and I'm late to the party. I don't know. But to see the effect in the Spirit, to see in the Spirit what that looks like when I'm having an awful day, and one of my friends from Minnesota can start praying and speaking life into me, and how that creates something inside of me that then goes out into my home and into the lives of my children and my husband and the atmosphere here. We're literally touching atmospheres from hundreds of thousands of miles away in an instant. And it's just, I don't think the enemy saw that one coming, if I'm being really honest, because I definitely didn't. But I think that, I just want to second that. I think that's a brilliant observation. And I think it's so true. So true.
In this season and this moment, I don't know if it's ever been more real too. See, part of my desire is when I'm teaching this and when we're teaching this, is it so that you have the tools to do this sort of stuff in the location and context of your life.
Yeah.
And so if you're in South Africa, which I know there's some on here listening from South Africa, we want to believe that the things that we can share with you will be used by you in the environment and the context that you are present in. It's the same if you're in Miami or Florida, or if you're in Norway. Lauren's here from Norway, right? It's the things that we can help learn and put into place so that you can be doing this from where you are. See, this is my concept also of church. It's not that you come to church, it's you are the church. And so wherever you are and whatever you learn and whatever you grow in, you are in a location where the Father's like, yep, let's just do that with my husband or with my kids, as Courtney has just said. So often people say to me, where's church? Well, walk out your front door, look left and look right, and you'll see it right in front of your eyes. These are the people that the Father have got in front of you to love. Now, you include the internet in this conversation, and all of a sudden you are able to love on people in Minneapolis and without having to be there. And you can pray, you can speak, you can share. And how cool is that, right? That's the whole concept of Jesus with the centurion. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in the location to declare these words, to believe these things are actually going to happen. You can be a part of this process from wherever you are. And this is like, I love how you said that Satan didn't see this one coming. This is going to grow. This is going to be a thing. And as we take hold of valuing other people's dream space or vision space, you watch how quickly this accelerates. Any church leader who's watching this, if you value dreams inside of your community, the intimacy of that community is about to accelerate. If you have a leadership team, ask them what they're dreaming, literally, not just what they're seeing in vision as for the future of your organization or church, but what are they dreaming? And you'll discover there's something so rich in the place of relationship there that it accelerates to a point of trust. And so again, from love, you becomes trust, and all of a sudden there becomes belief. That's the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13:13, faith, hope, and love. If you love someone, they will trust you, which is hope. And as they trust you, they'll believe in you. That is faith. That's what we're doing with the kingdom. That's what we're doing with Christ. He is the one who is trustworthy, and he is the one who is faithful. But he starts from a place of, I'm going to love on you first.
Yes, that's so good. And I love that you started hitting on the community aspect or the group aspect of it as well, because that's something that the Holy Spirit's really been leaning on me with as well. That he's like, you need to start looking, other than expanding your understanding, you need to start looking at groups of people, communities of people, areas of people, even similarities of whatever people carry. And you need to start looking at your dreams together.
Yeah.
Like understanding that even if we prophesy in part, we have a piece. if we dream with the Father and we're having dreams about our community or even just a similar theme, those are all puzzle pieces. And if we start to see them, that the Spirit is moving, in atmospheres and in realms and across regions, and we are all connected, then when we start pulling these things and we start allowing them to be seen as a piece, as a unique part of the story or part of the puzzle, we're going to start getting a bigger picture.
Yes.
We're going to start hearing more. We're going to start having a wider understanding, a wider reach, more depth to what it is that he's saying. And it just it gets me so excited when I think about it, because I don't know that I had really looked at it at that point until I started seeing amongst a group of people that I know, we're all having a very similar, very intense theme of dreams in this area. And it's time we start paying attention to it, because it's important. Like there's something that we need to know. There's something he wants us to know, or prepare for, or whatever it may be. So, yeah.
It's one of these things that binds communities together as well. It's again, you drop the guard, you let people see behind the curtain, if you want to call it that way, and you're allowing them to see into your heart.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where you can trust people with your dreams, I want to tell you, you have a kingdom moment that is manifesting itself, because you will see the kingdom come when love is manifest. I cannot tell you how powerful that concept is. And so again, when you gather around the concept of what are you dreaming, now what happens often in communities is that they will only give you the greatest hits of a dream too, because they're scared if they share all of it. Now that's a common way of introducing anyone to dreams, because they just tell you something that they want you to be safe with. I want to encourage you guys, if you're going to get into this, find yourself with people that you can share the dream with in its entirety, without the concept of judgment or condemnation on it. And this is part of the learning to love others as Christ has loved us as well. Because again, when you can hear a story without providing a judgment, you're actually found a place that you can love, and found a person that you can love, not just a place, but a person. And this is one of the keys of unpacking dreams, is by love. By creating an atmosphere of love, you are creating a safe place for people to go, I can share this stuff, and people aren't going to go, wow, this is just overshare, I can't get my head around this, it's too scary. And they lose the concept of fear that's in that, when they know that they're actually being loved. And so I want to encourage you guys that as you start stepping into this place, and as you start sharing your dreams, the intimacy thing will quicken, the vulnerability thing will quicken, the authenticity thing will quicken, and you'll find that the group of people you hang out with, the small group, the church, the business, whatever it is, you're going to find a very strong concept of what the kingdom is doing amongst you.
And even in families, I shouldn't say even, but definitely in families, it's been interesting. My kids know that we do these things here. They know that I talk about dreams a lot, and so it's opened up some doors, definitely with them to share these things. To share their dreams. And it always blows me away when one of them will come in, Mom, I had this dream about this. And, I try to control my, my reactions as much as I can, but many times it just floors me, because it'll fit right along with some of the things that I've been dreaming, or that my husband's been dreaming. And so, really, even in those really intimate places of families, it's always interesting to see how much the Father's heart is for the family. And so, you have a unique connection within your unit. And so if you have that space where you can share that and process that as well, that is a real blessing. And I'm definitely seeing that jump up a lot too lately. The themes and the similarities that are being given, especially amongst children.
Yep.
I know my kids are big dreamers. They're not going to get out of it. My husband's a very prophetic dreamer. I am very lucid in my dreams, so they're not going to get away from it. But some of the things that they come up with, and the things that even my 5-year-old, well, we joke about how she's the most prophetic one out of all of us, because she'll just pop downstairs and say, "Oh, Mom, can't wait for this." And you're like, yeah, okay. And then a couple weeks later it happens. So, there's obviously no age limit in that, but family is a really special place too, to understand there's a group and a connection.
And this is something too with parents, for any parent who's listening, to value your child's dreams is to value their
Mm-hmm.
imagination. And when you value a child's imagination, creation becomes a very, very powerful thing inside of a family. It's something here in Australia we did not do very well, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
we've done it well for generations. And so I think for me, it's one thing in our generation now that I want to bring back, as this is
Mm-hmm.
normal behavior
Mm-hmm.
for families to go, what are we dreaming right now? Because like you
Mm-hmm.
found, Courtney, your 5-year-old can give you a story of the future, and it could be a question you've been asking God for years, and all of a sudden your 5-year-old comes and drops it on you, and you go, right, I should have been valuing that voice.
Yeah. Right.
Stuff like that,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, One of the other things that I had written down that we've talked about before, deliverance. We talked about deliverance and dreams, but that's something that I've been noticing a lot lately, and probably just because there's so much going on in the atmosphere and in the world right now, and seeing a lot of angelic presence in dreams lately. A lot of divine downloads and even strategies being given right now. I've had multiple ones, and it's very new. Shouldn't say very new, but it's different. It's a different flavor. You know, when you start dreaming and you're like, all of a sudden I'm getting all of these instructions in my dreams that I wasn't getting before. That's something that I've noticed in my own, and then in talking with people as well. Is there anything you want to speak into that, or share around those topics?
Yeah, I think part of that too, Courtney, is learning the language. And
Mm-hmm.
when we've learnt the language, we can communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
And like, who doesn't want to hear the Father more?
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Like, any Christian who wants to be in a relationship with God wants to hear him speak, right? And there are multiple ways of hearing him speak. That's so beautiful to
Mm-hmm.
unpack those, but dreams is definitely one of those. But
Mm-hmm.
as you listen for this language and learn it, it's like he trusts you with more. Like,
Yeah.
it's the next thing he wants to reveal to you. It's like that parable of the talents where you've been faithful with what you've been given. So now I'm going to show you something else. And it's like Jesus saying to his disciples, there's so much more I want to share with you, but you're just not able to handle it right now.
Yeah.
And so how does that happen? Well, dreams and visions are the things that happen from that point onwards, right? Encounters with
Mm-hmm.
Jesus start happening. Like the Apostle Peter has a trance on top of
Yeah.
a house because he's so tired. He goes into trance-like state, and Jesus changes his entire diet in a moment,
Mm.
right? These are the things that if we can embrace them, to learn them and listen for them, we go, yep, that's actually God. It's like in the Old Testament, Jacob has a dream, and like, that's God. He doesn't question it. He doesn't go,
Mm-hmm.
wow, what was that? That the goat that I ate last night? Like,
Yeah,
what was
right.
that? He builds an altar in the middle of what would be the promised land at some point, and decides, this place here, we're going to call this Bethel. The house of God met me here. It's right here. And every time Jacob would
Mm-hmm.
go past there it is, Bethel, right
Mm-hmm.
there. And so this is the thing, like, the ancients valued the dream space so highly that they listened for the language and started moving so powerfully in it. And for you, Courtney, and for many other people, this is the sort of thing that's actually starting to become normal. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you're throwing away the Bible to say, yeah, well, I don't need that anymore because I've got my dream space.
Right.
Not at all. That's, again, we don't teach anything like that. We teach testing every word that God brings to
Yes.
us. But again, our dream and the voice in our dream can be so clearly understood from the voice of the Father in that, and how we test that. And often we use the Bible to do that. But this is the thing that's, as people value their dreams, they're learning the language of the dream. And as they learn the language of the dream, they'll hear the nuance in it. It's like when Scott tells you, like, if I use that example again, I love you, you can hear from the way he says it how he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can hear it.
Yeah.
And just by the simple tone in the voice. And for me, when Jesus talks about my sheep know my voice, it's not that they just know what he's saying, they know what he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
They would know if there's an urgency, if there's a lion or if there's a bear around. If I use the David and Goliath sort of analogy again,
Mm-hmm.
they would know the tone. And this is something you learn in relationship. Often we fall out in relationships because of the tone goes missing. If you've ever had a relationship that purely operates in text where you can't understand tone, you know what I mean, right? It can be easily misunderstood. But when you have a relationship that's built in the voice and you can hear the tone, you can then discover it even in text messages too, I guess.
That's what gifts are for.
Gifts, as with life. Is that what you said? Oh, the
Yeah,
gifts.
gifts. Is it gifs or gifts? I never know.
I don't know. I'm
I,
50 years
but
old,
see,
Courtney.
it's an image. You're 50, so you have an out.
Well, if you like, I've had to stop using many emojis because my kids just tell me, "Dad, you can't be using
That's
that,"
enough.
and I think it's just,
A couple
I don't know.
hundred faces. Yeah. No, and I think that that's one of the things that's so beautiful about dreams too, that I hear you saying, is the multisensory aspect of it. There have been dreams that I've had from the Father that I've written down the words so I remember the words. But when I go back to that dream, I'm not thinking about the words. I'm thinking about, and I can feel the hair on my neck standing up right now, because I had a dream where he was standing behind me and he was speaking to me over this shoulder, and I could feel it wash over me. Could literally feel it coming into every layer of my body. And that's the place that I go back to when I really feel like I need that infusion. I need to feel him. I need to hear a little bit more. And that's what I love about dreams, is the multisensory aspect of it. When we're in relationship with someone, we're not just hearing words on a screen. We're hearing a tone. We're seeing a facial expression. We're hearing their voice. All of those things, that we're feeling their presence with us. And so I think that that's another aspect too. You said as your understanding comes up, you experience more, you pull more out of it. I did not realize how much I dream about angels until I started to understand dreams. And I'm not talking about seeing angels with big wings, although yes, that's a possibility. I'm talking about people in dreams that I realized that's an angel sent to do this because of their function. And it's when you start to understand those things, it's like it opens up a whole new, just a whole new understanding of how present he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the whole essence behind why I think God gives us dreams. It's relationship. He wants relationship with us. And so deliverance happens in dreams 100%, because when he speaks, things get created, things get healed, things get set free. That's the whole concept of God's voice. Like, why do we long for it? Because we know the power that is in it. And again, if you can listen for the voice of God inside of your dreams, and I guess that's probably another touch point there too, Courtney, is like people say, well, what's a God dream and what's not a God dream? Well, how about we just believe that God is in all things, which I think is biblical. And then secondly, he works through all things and life flows through him in all things. That's biblical. Could we find him then? Well, I think so. We can find him in creation. Why? Because he is the designer of creation. And so again, if you're looking for the designer, look for what his design is and you'll see some of it. And he has designed us to dream.
Yes.
You can't not dream. Like, that's again brain science. We always dream, just so we don't always remember them. So if that's part of our design that he has made us for, and in the Bible he has prophesied that in these days he's going to be speaking through dreams, well, let's value them all. Each and every one of them, from our kids right through to our grandparents. Let's value dream space so that we can listen for what the voice of God might be saying across generations.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, as you were saying that, Matt, I was hearing like not to, let's just say that he's in all things. Don't look at your dreams apart from his nature. It's always really important to pull the nature of the Father into that space when you're looking at your dreams. And we'll just pull one from the chat here, if that's okay. Faith Ann, I hope you don't mind. If I just run over your dream, or not run over it, but say it out and give you a little bit of an interpretation in case you would like one. You said that you dreamed that your father wrote you a check for 70 million. And it was a type of inheritance and you had to use it for specific things. So if we take this specific dream and pull in the nature of the Father and these themes, so the Father is the giver of the inheritance. and he gives you something, a check for 17 million. So the number 17 is the number of overcoming victory. So he's already telling you your inheritance is that you have overcoming victory, and I want you to use it. I want you to use your inheritance. I want you to apply your overcoming nature and what I've given you to these specific areas of your life. When we start to see a dream like that within the context of the nature of the Father, all of that explodes. We see that he is, number one, he's a good father. Number two, we have an inheritance and we are overcomers. And he's the giver of all good gifts that he's going to provide in every area. Those are the things, that's the way that I would be looking at that dream faith. And I would be pulling that and understanding. And I could even pull some of that. Oh, he's really showing me he's my provider. He's the source of this stuff for me. I can rest. I can lean back. So that's what we mean when we say that there's multiple layers into a beautiful, even short dream with something like that. There's a relational connection that's going on there. And there's a revealing of the Father's nature of how he wants to be seen and known by you as well. So many good things.
Perfect.
I'm not sure if I'm frozen or if Matt is frozen.
I think, it's looking like you might be frozen. Courtney, can you hear me?
Although I think it might be me. I'm not sure. If you guys, is it me or you? Did I freeze or did you freeze?
Well, on my computer, you froze, my friend.
Oh, it's saying I'm unstable. I think it's just the Holy Spirit is flowing, causing issues. Anyways, that's all I have on that.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect description of the dream that you've been given. And again, I hope for Faith that's helpful for you as well, because the million concept inside of there too just shows the effect of what you're doing on the planet is. It's so magnified. And again, thank you for sharing that dream and being vulnerable enough to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all that I had written down to cover today. Is there anything else that you wanted to toss in there? I know we've covered quite a lot today. Is there anything else you wanted to include in any of that?
I think that's good. I think, as you guys can see, it can also be fun. And again, helping a person unpack their dreams can be. Again, not every dream has got a difficult ending. So again, the whole concept of nightmare is something we cover as well. Again, a nightmare is just an unfinished story where you've woken up in a trauma. And so we want Jesus to come in and use your imagination to finish that dream. I use that with young and old alike. That's a very helpful way of helping people go back to sleep by seeing what Jesus does in those moments, but allowing this to be an enjoyable thing. It's like any concept of hearing the voice of God. It doesn't always have to be serious, and sometimes there is, but we want to help people see that the Father wants you to have life in all of its fullness. And the whole concept of fullness is operating from a place of love and design and identity. And it's just so beautiful.
So good. So good. And I love the way that you teach on nightmares too, because I really feel like that's one area where that was used to kind of push off the validity of dreams. You know, it's so easy to say, it's just a bad dream. It's just a bad dream. Well, if a bad dream is not important and I can't connect with the Father through something like that, or there's no redeeming, there's no connection point in that, then how valuable is a good dream as well? It's just, is that making sense? I'm not sure if that's translating well, but I think in our attempt to try to help ourselves understand and process those things, or other people that we care about, we minimize them instead of doing what you said, Matt, which is to pull Jesus into that space and allow for healing to come through that.
Because he's there. And that's there's no place he cannot be. Yeah. Like King David gave us that brilliant understanding. I can go to the top of a mountain. I can go to the bottom of the ocean. He's there. This is the beauty. Like Jesus promised in Matthew 28, I'm never going to leave you nor forsake you. These are the whole concepts of the Bible that we've seen in the reality of our experiences in our own lives today. And again, in dream space is no different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us, listening to all of our thoughts about what the Spirit is saying, what we've been seeing, and just how we approach dream interpretation. So again, if that's something you're interested in, check it out. It's greaterthingsinternational.com.
connect with Greater Things International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, or at greaterthingsinternational.com.